Monday, the 18th day of December, year of our Lord 2017. Welcome to the John Moore Show. A prepper tip of the day. Listen carefully. I want to encourage all of you to get a copy of the book titled World Without Cancer. The author is G. Edward Griffin, who I've interviewed on this show. In relation to that, there's a free download of my website, the cancer curing protocols used to safely, easily, cheaply cure cancer. Free download at my website under free downloads. And also, if you use the energy cleaner, and you may have cancer, make a aluminum pad. You place it on the affected area and hold your hand on top of ideally have somebody close to you hold their hand on top of the aluminum pad, which dramatically amplifies the effect of the energy cleaner. I was trying to encourage someone very near and dear to me to do this recently, and she refused to do so, to put the pad directly on the affected part, which prevented me from even going any further and letting her know that the hand of somebody on top of that pad would dramatically increase the effect of the energy cleaner. But that's the way it is. One last thing. If you chew and swallow 10 apricot kernels a day, you can't get cancer. Now, I've heard people say, oh, I don't like the way they taste. Oh, they get stuck between my teeth. That's the response of a child. The adult will say, I don't care what they taste like. I don't care if they get stuck between my teeth. I don't want to get cancer. I'm going to chew and swallow 10 apricot kernels a day so I can't get cancer. And that's what the studies show, that people who chew and swallow 10 apricot kernels a day can't get cancer, don't get cancer, end of story. That's your prepper tip of the day. We have patient waiting in the green room, my friend Jimmy Ginsling. Jimmy is the proprietor of Desert Eagle Shooters. The website is deserteagleshooters.com. And we're going to spend 2 hours talking about firearms, rifles, shotguns, pistols, ammunition, optics, the gun culture, legislative matters, and so forth. Good morning, Jimmy.
Good morning, my friend. How was your weekend?
It was a good weekend. How about yourself, sir?
It was chilly. It was rather cool down here in southeast New Mexico.
Uh-huh.
But we did accomplish a few things. The firearms tip of the day. Unit tactics. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't care how good you are. If it comes down to a situation, natural disaster, anything where you have got to protect your friends and family and home, doing it with one person is impossible. Doing it with two is marginal. 4 is better. 6 is preferable. So if you've got, there's just you, the spouse, and maybe a teenage or slightly older son or daughter, train together. We talked a few weeks back about training with each other's firearms and becoming accustomed. Train together as far as movement and cover. And there are several good videos out there on YouTube. There are a lot of good articles on how to move. Say your car parked, 75 feet from the house, and you've got to get from the car to the house. Practice techniques of movement and cover. One person moves, stops, turns around, takes a position to cover. The next person or two people move, however, and it's leapfrogging. But what I'm saying is that's just one aspect of it. So for this week, do some research, look into it, and study methods of working as a team. Nightfall, John has often said that, you've got to own the night. Bad guys, that's when they do most of the things that they do. So night vision, learning to get your eyes accustomed, and being able to see in a moonlit night or whatever without artificial light, various things like that. Work on team tactics. If you don't have a team, it's time to start developing one. In doing that, you know which neighbors that you've got around can be trusted, and probably talk to them over a few barbecues or holiday lunches or whatever. Might want to start discussing it with them on protecting your neighborhood. There are a lot of things coming down. Very disturbing news, John. I don't know if you saw the article I sent about Chicago, but a Chicago councilman went to New York this weekend to talk to the UN. He's the, I don't know if he's a chairman or director or whatever, of UN peacekeeping, and is actually requesting UN peacekeeping forces to come to Chicago to help with the gun problem.
Right. Well, that's grandstanding. There's massive jurisdictional issues, legal issues.
Exactly.
That simply is not going to happen, can't happen, won't happen. It's grandstanding on the part of this individual.
The fact that they've done it, though, shows the stupidity. I mean, they're first off, they have to go through the State Department. That's considered a treaty. And the Constitution explicitly prevents states or cities creating treaties with any foreign agency without the approval of the State Department and D.C. So, ladies and gentlemen, these guys are getting weirder and weirder. We don't know what they're going to do. But I think that part of this is coming down to the fact that we have a president that supports gun rights, that supports the Second Amendment as it was intended, especially the part that says shall not be infringed. And these people just cannot stand it because this is not a member of the Good Old Boys Club. He was never supposed to have gotten there, and everything that we've seen last week with the FBI and the treasonous actions that they've committed and everything else, ladies and gentlemen, I am very concerned that things may escalate. I don't know. An ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure, my mom used to say. So if you haven't finished your preps, John has talked about it religiously. I've mentioned it several times. You know, you've got to do that, and you've got to get on the stick. Amazingly enough, John, I discovered something. There are a lot of stores that have got specials right now because of the holiday season on bulk foods. One of our local food stores over here, it's not a chain, it's a locally owned, privately owned store. Their 50-pound bag of pinto beans normally runs around, I think it's like $28 or something like that. But we live in an area where they grow a lot of beans, so that may affect your prices, ladies and gentlemen. But we were in there the other day running around picking up a few things that we needed and went down that aisle, and I stopped because there was a green sign, New Year's special, this season's beans, $20 for 50 pounds. That's a lot of beans. So, ladies and gentlemen, look at your stores right now. They can be putting things on special. Another lady told us that one of the stores had a special on, I believe it was 5-pound boxes of dried milk. So, think about it, ladies and gentlemen. Cruise your aisles when you get a chance. And, of course, stock up on your ammunition and your hunting supplies and everything. It's getting weird, John, and it's kind of getting weird rapidly.
It is. Absolutely it is. But that doesn't change what we need to do for ourselves and the people we care about, does it?
No, sir. And in fact, we should all step back, and in fact, I think your prepper tip last week sometime or maybe the week before was to inventory your stores. Look at what you've got. Ladies and gentlemen, John I think when he focused on that, it was primarily look at your food stores, rotate your stock and everything as we talk about. Throw into that to inventory your ammunition and other things that you need to operate your gun, cleaning kits. If you've got a hard to shop for a person for this season and everything, shopping tip, boar snakes. And that's just exactly what it is, ladies and gentlemen. B-O-R-E, as in rifle bore, and snake, a little slithery thing on the ground that most of us avoid. The boar snake comes in calibers all the way from 17 caliber all the way up to 50 caliber. And what this is for all intents and purposes, it's a flexible cleaning rod. Coils up, it'll stick in a storage pocket on your rifle, it'll fit in your pocket, it'll fit in the side of your carry bag, whatever. I have one tucked in the bottom of a mag pouch. Mags go on top of it, but I know where it's at. This thing, ladies and gentlemen, you really don't have to have solvent. It helps. But you lock the bolt back, and if it's a single shot or whatever, just break it open. Drop the weighted line through it, pull it through, and do it a couple times, and believe me, any garbage or junk or anything in there that's not really adhered to the metal, like, baked on carbon or copper, it'll clean it out. It'll give a nice clean bore. More importantly, it will, if you say you've driven 50 miles down a dirt road, and you've got one of the gun racks that holds the rifle vertically or the shotgun vertically, dust and junk can get down the bore. It happens. And by running a bore snake through it, you ensure that there are no obstructions and no grunge in there that can affect your shot or possibly harm the gun. They run anywhere, for pistol calibers and sizes, they run anywhere from like $11, I think. I have seen them on sale at Wally World for like $9, and then they go all the way up to, I think the most expensive ones are around $18. So for under $20, you can get a bore snake or two in your favorite person's caliber and, make their life a little bit easier. When we go through the pre-fire checks for when we're doing long-range precision shooting, I have a checklist that we go through every morning or before the first shot. And that is that we check the torque on all of the screws, on the scopes, on the bases, the action screws and everything. We make sure everything is tight. And we make sure that the covers and everything on the scopes are nice and functional. They're not loose or maybe losing a spring or something that would cause them to malfunction. We put a light drop of lube on the bolts and everything, pull the bore snake through it twice, check the function of the rifle, and then we're ready to go. And if you get into a system, ladies and gentlemen, of doing that, I've got this on a little card that each rifle has got one stuck in the cheek pouch on it. And if you get in the habit of doing that, ladies and gentlemen, each time, two things will happen. One, you'll make sure that your gun's going to function properly. And two, if it's been setting off to the side for a couple of days or something and Granddaddy Grizzly Bear stumbles into camp and you grab it, you'll know it's loaded. Very embarrassing to have an emergency situation and grab a weapon that you haven't paid attention to for a couple of days and not know if it's loaded or unloaded. So we always teach that you treat every firearm as if it is loaded. That helps cut down on unintended discharges and accidents. But in an emergency situation, you don't need to guess. On my particular way of doing things, once I clean them and I put them to bed for the night and everything, I lock the bolt back and have a live magazine in it. That way, technically it's unloaded, but by hitting the bolt release or closing the bolt, we know that we are loaded. So, just a couple little aspects right there to start off the morning, start off the week. And,
well, that's great, Jimmy. Yeah, that's great. Those are good, very good, helpful hints there.
It's just something we need to look at, ladies and gentlemen. Get into a routine. Now, John has discussed in his time of being a special investigator and everything that, remember a while back, John, you were discussing it with somebody, and your job was real easy when the individual that you were surveilling or whatever had a routine. Because if you lost them, you know where they would be.
You've been paying attention. You've been paying attention, I can tell.
Yep. And so, ladies and gentlemen, get in a routine with your firearms and make sure your family understands the routine. Never hurts to sit there and do this as a group several times, and then everyone is accustomed to how it works. And it's just safety's sake, ladies and gentlemen. It's safety's sake. So plan out if you've got someplace that you can work on small team tactics and everything. Don't know if your local gun range would, approve of such operations or anything, but you don't need a gun range to do this. You can have an old dirt road that's half a mile long or whatever, one of your favorite hunting areas. Park the car and everybody walk away from it. Start off with 100 yards. Turn around and examine the area and set your plan and practice it. Once you get 100 yards down, maybe move that to a couple of 100 yards. And what you're doing is you're practicing movement and cover. You don't ever want anyone to be moving without someone watching over them. That's how ambushes happen. Not saying that it's going to ambush and everything and we're going to have everything fall apart in the next 3 weeks, but the fact of the matter is, even in Christmas time, you've got people that are watching parking lots. They want the stuff that you just bought.
Hold that thought, Jimmy. We got a break. Hold that thought. We'll be right back after the break. J.R. Moore here. As most of you know, my regular listeners, I offer energy cleaners for sale at my website. If you don't have a clue what I'm talking about, go to my website, thelibertyman.com, educate yourself about these marvelous healing devices. We focus on pain mitigation and getting a great night's sleep. Arthritis pain, joint pain, back pain, doesn't matter. Keep in mind, I offer from me to you personally a 30-day money-back guarantee. That's what I do. Energy Cleaner is $285, shipping included to American zip codes. You can educate yourself all about the Energy Cleaner right there at my website, the patent application, the wonderful testimonials. Be sure and check out the factory-made fitted mattress pads to go with the Energy Cleaner. Now, I offer from me to you personally a 30-day money-back guarantee. That's what I do. I have a toll-free order line, or you can order it right at my website at thelibertyman.com. The toll-free order line is 800-592-9543. I say again, 800-592-9543. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, J.R. Moore here. It's taken 3 years before I could offer the inter-shelter domes for sale. During those 3 years, several different governments and militaries were taking all their production. The inter-shelter dome homes may be just what you've been looking for to provide affordable, energy-efficient, permanent, and attractive housing. These dome homes are prefabricated units that can be assembled in a few hours by 2 men with a ladder and simple hand tools. Check out the photos of these dome homes built in the Arctic, on tropical beaches, in suburban areas, and in forests. All the details, many photographs, and the pricing of the dome homes are listed on the left-hand side of my homepage at thelibertyman.com. I think you'll find these homes are not only attractive, but they're energy efficient, and a bonus. You can disassemble them and reassemble them as many times as you feel you need to. Pretty great, huh? Something that's very, very unique. Check them out at my website at the All right, we are back, ladies and gentlemen. We're back. J.R. Moore here on Monday, the 18th of December, visiting with Jimmy Gensling with Desert Eagle Shooters. That website is deserteagleshooters.com. Jimmy, we got a caller on hold. Before we get to our caller, I need to remind people that paintball competition is a great way to practice small unit tactics. And in fact, the federal government is very fearful of people with those skills. They're very diligent about getting mailing lists of people who compete in paintball competition, if they can get their hands on them, people who subscribe to paintball publications and so forth, because the skills learned in paintball competition are of the highest value, and when it comes to close quarter combat. We got a caller on hold here, Jimmy. We got Glenn in Philadelphia. Good morning, Glenn.
Good morning, Glenn.
Good morning, John. Good morning, Jimmy. Yes, hello. Can you hear me?
Go ahead.
Yeah, a little buckety, but we got you.
Okay, let me see. Should be a little better. All right. Now, I'm very concerned about the gun rights and state rights implications of this attempt to bring UN forces into Chicago. This is almost as subversive as can be possibly imagined. The governor of Illinois is a man named Bruce Rauner, and he and the state legislators and the federal legislators of Illinois ought to be raining on Rahm Emanuel's parade like a Cat 5 hurricane right now. They should be all over him like a cheap suit, because there's this utter subversion of the normal chain of command in dealing with civil emergency issues at the city level. The Chicago has its own police force. There are the Cook County Sheriff's Department. There's the state police that could be coordinated with, and the governor still, although they've changed policy about the deployment of National Guard, the feds can mobilize National Guard, but the governor can still be calling out the National Guard before any other international authority were brought in. And
Glenn,
if and when...
Glenn, this commissioner has no more authority than the student council president of the local high school trying to bring in the UN. He has no authority to do that. It's just grandstanding.
Precisely. And hopefully the UN realizes this.
Of course
and
they
rebuffs it. Yeah. Well, then hopefully.
Why would they even respond? But they probably will, as a matter of courtesy. But why would they even respond to something that's silly?
Yeah. Well, okay, good. I'm glad you see it that way. I mean, it's like they should just this should be swatted down, ridiculous. And because it couldn't happen. If it did happen, though, UN taking over things, and there goes abrogation of Second Amendment rights in areas that they are controlling. They're going to say, we're the law here now, and your little Second Amendment doesn't count. Well, guess what? That's not going to happen. So, okay. Well, listen, thanks. Mm-hmm.
Glenn,
yes.
A comment to what you're saying there. Now, John and I, we're not saying that this is going to happen. We're saying these people have already trying this. Now, one quote, and I'm quoting this Boykin guy from Chicago that went to visit the UN security person this weekend when he was questioned in the news, and I'm reading it right here from the article. I think this is from the Daily Sheeple, but they're quoting, I think, Chicago Tribune. And Boykin stated that he does indeed want the requested troops to essentially become the police in Chicago. Now, we all know that this is going to be quashed in a heartbeat, but what bugs me the most is they've got the audacity to even try it.
Precisely. Right. The response should be immediate, decisive. There's a complete rebuff, rebuke, and swat down. Because the subversive nature of it is just so over the top. People should realize that immediately.
Well, a tip on that is that same phone number, 202-224-3121. I suggest, and I'm going to do it later on today. I've got an appointment this morning after the show, but I fully intend to call the switchboard at D.C., and I'm going to contact each and every senator and congressman from Illinois, and I'm going to quote this guy to them, and I'm going to ask them, what the heck is going on here? Are you guys just totally giving up or what? You know, you do want to be reelected next time. What do your constituents think if you support the UN taking over your city? Let's see if we can shame them to verbally cutting this guy down. Of course, Democrats don't have any shame anyway, so it's going to be a difficult task.
Right. Well, and especially the governor, this Bruce Rauner. I mean, you know, he needs to, you know, rise up and swat down, you know, Twinkle Toes Emmanuel, the tiny dancer guy, and you know, tell him, remind him of the limits of his authority. Because it's just crazy. But if Illinois and Chicago would pass some gun laws that work instead of their draconian gun laws, maybe that the crime picture could change. Thank you, gentlemen. Goodbye.
Okay, Glenn, thank you. We got a bottom of the hour break. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
You are tuned in to the Republic Broadcasting Network. Visit our website by going to republicbroadcasting.org.
We are back, ladies and gentlemen. We're back. J.R. Moore here on Monday, the 18th of December. My website is thelibertyman.com. That's thelibertyman.com. Lots of interesting free downloads there, things that will educate you and inform you. If you need a good chuckle, read the watch the short video, Real Housewives of ISIS, just about 3 minutes long. It's a hoot. Also, my website, of course, you will find energy cleaners and mattress pads. We're getting caught up from the rush we had over the last couple of weeks, and my mattress pads being sent to Texas by my distributor by mistake. Getting caught up. We got a couple of orders pending. A lot of stuff going out today. Energy cleaners and mattress pads. Shipped them all over the planet. Shipped, it was 7 boxes full to the Marshall Islands in the last few days over on the other side of the planet. Energy Cleaner is a marvelous healing device. If you've got arthritis pain, or joint pain, or back pain, it will probably help you. Not getting a great night's sleep? Yep, that's what you need is Energy Cleaner. I use mine every night. Keep in mind we offer a 30-day money-back guarantee on the Energy Cleaner, and most people these days are going ahead and getting a mattress pad along with the Energy Cleaner right at the get-go, and it's a great combination for healing, pain mitigation, and so forth. Only $285 shipping included to American zip codes for the Energy Cleaner. The mattress pads vary by size and price. I do take PayPal, the most secure way to make any payment online. You can make your purchase right there at my website at thelibertyman.com using PayPal, MasterCard, Visa, or you can send me a check. My address is right there at my website at thelibertyman.com. I have a toll-free hour line 24 hours a day. Here it is, 800-592-9543. I say again, 800-592-9543. Visiting with Jimmy Gensling. The website for Jimmy's business is DesertEagleShooters.com. Jimmy, we've got a couple of callers on hold. First, we go to Rick in Missouri. Good morning, Rick.
Good morning, Rick.
Good morning, Jimmy. Good morning, John. I actually called to ask a quick question about a 7mm Browning.
Sure.
But before I do that, I would just like to make an ancillary comment regarding what Glenn was talking about. If these people, if these forces insist on practicing shooting at flannel-clad bubbas carrying scope 30-30s, then, Jimmy, a guy like you could print blue helmet targets. I don't see why we can't. I guess I'd hate to be that kind of guy. I guess my wife wouldn't appreciate this kind of banter. But you could do what the left would do and just take a bunch of these down to the range, make like every second or third target a blue helmet, shoot at them for 5 minutes, and then go down there and take a video and YouTube that, and put that out there on the internet for a while, even though it's just kind of a ridiculous Hollywood setup. But let them think about that for a while. And I don't know if that's going to change anything. I don't know if that would change their mind at all. But if they thought we could actually hit those helmets, then I think, that would be a disturbing thought. I've got a picture here in my phone of a tube inside the four-piece of a Browning 7mm. My son was using it. Says this thing isn't cycling, and he took this forestock off, and he said this rod or tube appears to be cracked. I don't suppose I can call you later, send you a picture, but I don't suppose you know what it is, do you? What that rod in there is? Would that be some gas tube assembly, or I don't know what that would be in there?
Which model is it?
Browning 7mm Magnum.
Is it a bolt gun or is it semi-auto?
No, that's semi-automatic weapon.
Okay.
A rifle.
Do me a favor and text me a picture of it and the model number of it.
Yeah.
I'll get with you today on it.
Okay.
Yes, sir. All right. That'd be great. Thanks a lot.
Okay. Appreciate it. Next we go to, I guess it's a man, I don't know, identifying himself or herself as CZ59, as Charlie Zebra 59, who's in the desert. Good morning, CZ59.
Good morning, sirs. Odessa calling.
Okay. What's on your mind, sir?
Hey, Jimmy.
Hey, I know who this is, John.
I thought you might.
They got my call sign wrong.
It's CG59.
Charlie Golf 59? Okay. Gotcha.
Listen, I completely agree with your host about the grandstanding thing with the UN. But the very fact that they are talking about this and entertaining the idea, I find it to be kind of alarming.
Yeah, that's the point that I wanted to make. I didn't want, our listeners to think that, oh my goodness, the UN is piling in. It's just the stupidity of and by the way, I need to correct something here. When I said the guy was a city, he is not. This is Cook County Commissioner Richard Boykin. That's right,
Cook County.
No kin to our Colonel Boykin that we all love and adore. And this guy he went there with the blessings of Rahm Emanuel and the other county commissioners, which, ladies and gentlemen, it's stupid. It's scary stupid that they think that they can bypass D.C. when Trump has already offered, Trump has already sent, I think it's either 20 or 40 attorneys and investigators there to bolster what they've got, and has offered to do anything that they want, up to and including sending in the National Guard to assist the police in crowd control type things, and they've rejected everything. So,
Jimmy, you and I had this conversation earlier in the week, and given the stellar track record of the UN in these other countries where they go in and abuse the population and basically get slaughtered, we were talking about what would happen in the city of Chicago when the criminal element got a hold of them, let alone after that the Patriots. Go ahead.
Oh, yeah. The Patriots could just sit back and watch. The way that the crime is there and the total disregard for law and order and justice and anything else, it'd be the makings of a pretty good movie, I think, John.
It would be interesting, to say the least, shall we say.
Thanks for taking my call.
It would make the Red Dawn series look like a bunch of Girl Scouts. Really good. I appreciate you calling, Cliff, because it's that point that I was thinking about. And, ladies and gentlemen, what we're saying is the hypocrisy and the stupidity of the Democrats is front and center, top of the fold, headline news. And, again, I would suggest that 202-224-3121 number and ask their representatives what the heck is going on. Because just the simple fact of this guy going to talk to them, my opinion now, I haven't researched it fully, but borders on treason. So, just food for thought. Your thoughts on that, John?
Well, I don't know that this could raise to the level of treason because it is so absolutely silly and absurd. It's grandstanding. This commissioner wanted to get attention, get his 15 seconds of fame or 15 minutes, whatever it is, and he got it. And it'll be out of the news cycle in a day or two, and that'll be the end of it.
I'm hoping so. The remainder of the article stated that the leaders in Chicago are now openly planning to declare martial law. So, ladies and gentlemen, just sit back and watch. It just befuddles me. It really does. Anything else, Cliff?
I think Cliff's gone already.
Oh, Cliff's gone.
Yeah.
Cliff, by the way, John, is he's my brother from a different mother, all intents and purposes. I called his mom, and he treated me just as I was her own son, especially when I did something stupid. And him and I have been very close friends and everything since about 1967. So.
Well.
Oh yeah.
Half a century. That's a pretty good track record, I'd say.
That is. And we went through both of our parents dying together and everything else. So he's family, and he's one of those individuals that you can trust with your life. So, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you have some friends like that, because my acquaintances are in the hundreds and thousands. My friends I can count on one hand. And they're people you want to back you up. But that brings us back to where we started at the beginning of this, small unit tactics. You want as close as you can get to that type of friend in your team efforts and everything. And I think with the way the threat of everything that's going down, everything from EMP attacks to solar flares that could disrupt the power grid and everything else, North Korea. I mean, we could sit here and spend the whole rest of the show just making a list of things that could go wrong. And the only reason that we became a nation is that 3% of the population was prepared and willing to take action. And right now, ladies and gentlemen, I would dare say that number, instead of being 3%, is probably closer to 2%. And still, those 2% would be the ones that survive and come out on top. So, anyway, getting back to firearms and everything, I'm curious about that one that Rick was telling me about. I'll take a look at it and see. And it brings up another good point, ladies and gentlemen. When you're cleaning your guns, I don't care if it's a single shot, over and under, or whatever, look at things closely. Always have a flashlight with you. Examine the bore, examine the action. Another important point that a lot of people just totally miss 100% is springs. If you're looking at let's say in the trigger mechanism of 90% of your handguns and rifles, if it's a double leg spring, meaning that you have one leg of the spring on either side of the trigger or the hammer, and you're cleaning it, glance at those things and look over and make sure that they're not bent, that maybe one of them is broken. Anything out of the ordinary on that. That's where the OOPS kits come in handy. And another thing with semi-autos, I don't care if it's an AR, if it's a Remington, whatever it is, one of the most common problems with a failure to function, I'll put it that way, is when you eject a round and it hits the ground and everything. If your rifle acts weird after that. Doesn't fully close. Trigger doesn't work. Anything like that. The very first thing to look for, if you've been shooting it and it functions great and all of a sudden something stops it from functioning, the very first thing is if that last round that you ejected is laying there, pick it up and look to see if the primer is in it. The greatest problem that I have run into with factory ammunition in the last 2 years, and I don't know if it's because of the powders and the charges or improper seeding of primers in the manufacturing process, is once the rifle fires, it blows the primer loose. And when you operate the action, it'll eject the case, but the primer will drop into the action. On an AR platform, that's going to drop right into the trigger well. And it may not happen that time. It may take a couple of times, but it will get under and jam the trigger mechanism to where it won't function. So if you've got a semi-automatic or a bolt gun, and it's been performing marvelously, and then all of a sudden you go to pull the trigger, and either the trigger doesn't pull or the bolt won't close fully. Sometimes it'll be not picking up a round from a magazine. I've seen this in an M1 Garand here recently. It blew one of the primers out, and it dropped into the clip. And by the way, ladies and gentlemen, M1 Garand is the only firearm that actually has a clip. Everything else has magazines. But the primer dropped into the clip, and it evidently went past the first round and got between the second round and the lip. And after it fired, John, it came up, and the primer had stopped the second round from coming up to where the bolt would pick it up.
No kidding.
So if you do have this happen, and it's a common thing, ladies and gentlemen, if you're shooting and it just all of a sudden fails, open it up and look at it. If the last round is laying there or the last few rounds are laying there, pick them up and see if you're missing a primer. And then, believe it or not, the quickest way to clean this up, other than the M1 Garand, that was a little more interesting. But the quickest way to do it is to open up the action, turn the rifle upside down, and shake it. Function and whatever is moving and everything. I've had primers in the ARs stay in the chamber to where when the bolt went forward, the primer was in and prevented the bolt from locking up. And just little things like that, ladies and gentlemen. And if it's in a time of need, that's one of the failure drills that you can work on, is clearing your weapon. There's simple malfunction, and then there are major malfunctions. Simple malfunction is a stovepipe where the round did not eject properly and is sticking out the side of the port, or the ejection slot on the handguns or whatever. You wipe that out, typically the gun will function properly. I teach people not just to wipe it out and trust it, but to wipe it out and then cycle the slide once and then go back. A magazine not being fully seated is another problem, and this is common on handguns and rifles.
Hold that thought, Jimmy. Hold that thought. We have a break. We'll be right back. We are back, ladies and gentlemen. J.R. Moore here on Monday, the 18th of December, visiting with Jimmy Ginsling. His website is deserteagleshooters.com. Jimmy, we got another caller on hold here. We got Fred in Wisconsin. Good morning, Fred.
Good morning, Fred.
Oh, we lost
Hello,
Fred. Fred, you're welcome to call back. Let's continue, Jimmy.
Well, when the break caught us there and everything, we were discussing malfunctions and things like that. Ladies and gentlemen, there are a couple of tricks that you can use for practicing malfunctions, both in your handgun and in your rifles. The first trick is to buy some snap caps and stagger them down in your magazine somewhere. And as you're shooting, you don't know exactly when this is going to come up, but it's going to chamber, you're going to pull the trigger, it's going to go quick, and you're going to have to clear the weapon. Now, in doing this, what I recommend is the first couple of times just do it to recognize the failure and get into it, but then do a timed shoot, much like the apple seeds and everything, 10 rounds in 50 seconds or 45 seconds or whatever, and hit the target. So you're not just praying and working on the problem. You get into that mentality that you're shooting for score, and a malfunction, you've got a limited time factor, clear the malfunction, and then continue on. So by putting a time limit on yourself whenever you're doing any training is going to take and force you to concentrate. And we talk about muscle memory, going through the basics, repetition, repeatability, and everything else. Well, standing there in perfect form at the target is great for practice, especially if you're going to be a match shooter or a target shooter. But if you're putting meat on the table or protecting your family, you want to sit there and up the ante just a little bit. And by putting a time on yourself, that works out, and it helps to basically foment and anchor what your training has been doing. Any additions to that, John?
Well, I think you did an excellent job there. We got Fred back. Good morning, Fred.
Good morning,
Yeah,
Fred.
I just got a quick question for you. On the 1911 Colt platforms, I've been having trouble with ejector. Can you tell me what would be a good brand ejector to put in those guns?
Excuse me. I didn't mean to cough right there.
Well, first of all, Fred, I hope you're not using any steel-cased ammunition in your 1911.
No.
Okay,
Oh.
all right.
Okay.
Go ahead.
If you'll go to
We've all had our
Brownells-
experiences with Wolf.
Okay.
Okay.
Go ahead, Jimmy.
You'll go to brownells.com, and in the search bar on it, put 1911 ejector. Then it's going to bring up several types. The stock ejector is what most people replace them with. And I have found, and it's only a few cents difference in price actually, the extended ejector on the to replace it with. Now, one point.
You want to continue this after the top of the hour break, Jimmy? Fred, hold
Okay.
on. We'll be back after the top of the hour break. All right, we're back, ladies and gentlemen. J.R. Moore here on Monday, the 18th of December. Prep tip of the day. I want to encourage all of you to read the book, World Without Cancer by G. Edward Griffin. Download the free cancer treating protocols at my website under free downloads. And don't forget to eat your 10 apricot kernels a day. If you eat 10 apricot kernels a day, you can't get cancer. Pretty neat, isn't it? The second hour, we have Jimmy Ginsling back with us. This is our Firearms Monday. We talk about anything and everything to do with rifles, shotguns, pistols, ammunition, optics, legal matters regarding firearms. And Jimmy's website is deserteagleshooters.com. Let's continue, Jimmy.
All right. Our firearms tip of the week is small unit tactics. Look it up on the internet. There's several videos on teamwork. And what you want to do is work on movement and cover as a small unit. 2, 4, preferably like 6 people at a time working together. And that's our tip of the day. Any questions, you can always email me at jimi@hdc-nm.com, and we'll see if we can forward some stuff to you that you can work with. On the 1911 just a moment ago.
Yes, sir.
The thing is, if it's is yours a Series 70 or is it a Series 80?
Series 80.
Okay, you'll have less problems with the 80. On Brownells, look up the extended ejector. The fitting on those is less than the Series 70. So when you get it in and everything, push out the roll pin. You don't have to push it all the way out. Normally about 1/8 of an inch or so protruding on the right side is enough. And there should be a space underneath the ejector that you can get a very small screwdriver in and rock it back and forth and get it to raise up and come out. And put your new ejector in and I use a brass hammer and tap it down and make sure it's in place.
Okay.
And then when you put the pin back in, now another thing too, you're going to have to put a groove in the new ejector before you put the pin back in. So what I recommend is to take a very, very sharp pencil and put it in the hole on the left side, and you'll touch the leg of the ejector where it's coming down, and rotate that pencil. And then when you pry that out, you're going to see a very fine carbon mark on there. And then you're going to take a file and you're going to notch that right on that pencil mark in the front. And you only have to notch it like a 32nd of an inch or so. And use the very corner of the file to do that. So you have a little V notch in it. Tap it back into place, and then when you tap the pin back into place, it will go into that notch and it will wedge it solidly where it won't move. Once that's in, no barrel, no spring, no nothing. Just put the slide in it and ease it back and see if it contacts anywhere on the ejector. And it's going to take a little bit of filing normally. And easiest way to do it is to take a Sharpie and mark all sides of the ejector. And then when you bring the slide back and it sticks, you bring the slide back forward and you'll see a mark on there where it contacted. And so there's going to be a little bit of fitting work to do that, to get it to fit. And all you want is so that the slide will function on it with just the slightest amount of drag. And then that way it'll do the final wear in itself for a perfect fit. But,
well, that sounds great. I appreciate that, Jimmy. By the way, I found this great slogan, this sign that says "Wolf." The slogan is "Turn your gun to junk, Yankee dog." When I saw that, I laughed for about 10 minutes. I guess people have had a lot of experiences with that stuff. But thank you, Jimmy. That's the kind of stuff I need to find out about. And well, by the way, could I ship this to you and have you do it?
Drop me a note offline. Email me first.
At your email? I got your email address.
And
all right, thank you, guys. I appreciate it very much.
Okay, thank you, Fred. We appreciate the call. Call number is 800-313-9443. Solving people's problems here, aren't we, Jimmy?
Well, I try. I don't have all the answers. But 1911s, like I said, I've got an excellent teacher that is teaching me to build them from the ground up. And it just I love it whenever we have a gun show and I take one I'm working on, and I hand it to him. And he's a semi-retired Navy SEAL in a wheelchair. They still use him for a lot of consulting work and everything else. And I'll hand it to him, and he'll work it a little bit and do this and that, and doing good. However, And I always look for the however. And but when I do get it close to writing everything, he's never short of letting me know I'm doing good. So maybe someday. So,
right.
It's all fun, and as long as you enjoy what you're doing and you can help people occasionally, it's always great. And I just saw something come up here, John, on my email. For anyone interested, I just got a note that says that Sig Sauer is going to be offering a limited run of the M17 modular handgun systems to the public.
Really?
So no other details on it. You might, if you're interested in the Sig M17 pistols, ladies and gentlemen, you might go over to their website or something and look it up. But it says they're going to make a small quantity of them available to the civilian market. So, Sig makes a good gun. I like some of their products. But anyway, another thing, John. On RBN this weekend, I heard one host talking to an individual, and the individual that he was talking to was from California, and obviously a educated person as far as guns and everything go, and a trainer. But they got to talking about gun shows, and I heard a couple of remarks made on there that were really wrong. And I thought maybe some of our listeners, everything catch the same shows and everything on the weekends. But, ladies and gentlemen, when you go to a gun show, what they refer to as the gun show loophole is simply an individual that owns a rifle or a handgun or whatever, selling it at the gun show, much like you would go to a yard sale, or you go to you answer an ad in the paper for a 1965 Chevy. You go and you look at it, and if it's what you want, then you work out a deal and you buy the Chevy and you drive it home. Same thing with a private sale at a gun show. Now, this individual that was talking on the radio made the comment, and the host and him got into a discussion of not doing paperwork on private sales. And it really kind of took me back, because I've listened to this person before and had a pretty good understanding of what they're discussing. But they were actually promoting the doing the background checks and everything on private sales. Ladies and gentlemen, that is the one part of gun shows that irritate all of the liberals. That is the gun show loophole that they talk about it, and it's not a loophole at all. It is private sales. If John is at the shooting range and training someone, and they really like his handgun, and they make him an offer that he thinks is reasonable, and John sells it to the person, there is nothing wrong with that. That is not illegal. Now, where it can become illegal is if you know that the person is a felon, or you suspect something really creepy about it, and sell it to them anyway. The guy commits a crime, and then somehow they link it back to you, then there can be some legal hassle on it. Depends on just how hard they want to push it. But individual sales have always been legal. Don't let anybody kid you on it. I've been doing the gun show circuit now for a long time, and it's amazing that there are some people that will come into a gun show and look at a rifle or whatever and want to buy it, and just absolutely flabbergasted they don't have to fill out paperwork. And that's the way it is, ladies and gentlemen. So it really kind of took me back that first off, that the individuals seemed to be misinformed on it, but was also promoting that fact that there should be background checks on private sales. Ladies and gentlemen, you don't ever want that, because that is the door, that is the whole camel under the tent not just the nose on gun registration. So
That's right. That's right.
There's
Absolutely.
something else interesting that happened last week, John, that I'm still trying to figure out. I haven't gotten an answer on it yet. There was a shooting somewhere last week. A guy killed his girlfriend or her friend or so. Anyway, and then shot himself. Was shot by the police. And they were going through and checking everything out, and they came up with paperwork where he'd filled out the paperwork to buy the handgun and sent it in, and 2 months after he had purchased the handgun, they notified the dealer that he had a restraining order and was not supposed to have the handgun. Now, ladies and gentlemen, what the flag on that is this. When you go into a gun shop and you fill out the forms for the background check, if everything blasts right through, then you pay for the gun and you walk out in normal states. I think California is different. But anyway, in normal states, normal, reasonable people, background check goes through, you pay for the gun, and you leave. Now, if for some reason the background check does not go through immediately, then, there's a pause on it or a hold. Sometimes 90% of the denials are false positives on this. But anyway, if something holds it up and there's not a denial, it's going to take a while to come back because too many people are running paperwork at the time. After 3 days, let's say you go in on Friday morning and you look at the gun and everything, or let's say Monday morning. You go in Monday morning, you look at the gun, you decide what you're going to buy, fill out the paperwork, and it doesn't immediately go through. Then Thursday, the gun shop will normally call you because they want the sales and say, hey, nothing ever came back on this. You can come in and pick up the gun. If the background check, if the FBI does not respond in 3 days, then you're good to go. You can buy the gun, no problem. Now, occasionally, a few days after that time frame, one will pop up that, yes, this is a felon or whatever, and they will notify the locals to go and retrieve the firearm. What happens after that, I don't know. I've never heard an actual honest-to-goodness story of what happened. But the fact is this, John, and this is what bugged me. 3 months, and the paperwork is supposed to be destroyed after that, ladies and gentlemen. After 3 days, if the FBI does not contact them back, all that paperwork is supposed to be destroyed. 3 months later, John, they contact the dealership, the gun shop, to let them know that this guy shouldn't have bought the gun. That is
a little late then. It's a little late then, isn't it?
Well, it's late then, but according to the regulations, the program on the NICS check is supposed to be set that after so many hours or days or whatever it is that's in the program, it clears itself. It's no longer in there unless it is flagged by the person doing the check. Something hinky may come up. The person, okay, I'll get back to this in a minute, flags it, and then it stays there. And then I think it's only supposed to be there for like 5 days or 10 days, from what I was told. But the fact of the matter is 3 months later, they come back and come down on this. It's raised a lot of question with people on how come it was still floating in there that long. It brings up questions of registrations and such as that and everything. But the point is, ladies and gentlemen, you go into the gun shop and you buy a rifle, a shotgun, and 2 handguns. You only fill out one form. You fill out one form, it goes in for the background check, it clears, and you buy however many rifles or shotguns or whatever it is that you're going to buy at that time. So, yes, there may be a link up of some way of registration that some people are fearing, but it's only going to tell you that something was purchased, or possibly nothing was purchased at all, that just the background check was run. While you're waiting for the background check to go, you might decide, well, maybe I can get this for a better price, stop the sale, but the paperwork is still there. So, more food for thought, John. Hanky things happen.
Absolutely.
So, but anyway, back to the team training that we were talking about and everything. We discussed a few weeks back about training with your family for shooting partners' handguns and rifles and such as that. The most
hold that thought. Hold that thought, Jim. We got a break. Call number is 800-313-9443. Ladies and gentlemen, J.R. Moore here. It's taken 3 years before I could offer the inter-shelter domes for sale. During those 3 years, several different governments and militaries were taking all their production. The inter-shelter dome homes may be just what you've been looking for to provide affordable, energy-efficient, permanent, and attractive housing. These dome homes are prefabricated units that can be assembled in a few hours by 2 men with a ladder and simple hand tools. Check out the photos of these dome homes built in the Arctic, on tropical beaches, in suburban areas, and in forests. All the details, many photographs, and the pricing of the dome homes are listed on the left-hand side of my homepage at thelibertyman.com. I think you'll find these homes are not only attractive, but they're energy efficient, and a bonus. You can disassemble them and reassemble them as many times as you feel you need to. Pretty great, huh? Something that's very, very unique. Check them out at my website at thelibertyman.com. We are back, ladies and gentlemen. We're back. J.R. Moore here on Monday, the 18th of December, visiting with Jimmy Gensling. His website is deserteagleshooters.com. Let's continue, Jimmy.
Okay. We were talking about the small unit tactics and such as that and everything. Ladies and gentlemen, another thing just to consider. We had a discussion with one of our friends this weekend about this. They've got a nice bolt-action rifle and everything that they like for hunting, and just a really fine piece of equipment. It's one of the older 700 ADLs in 25-06. And we were discussing home defense and everything, and they started looking at the AR platforms and such for tactical and home defense. And then on the variations of the AR, we got even to talking about the AR pistols and the options on the what an AR pistol is, ladies and gentlemen. You remove the stock and have just a straight buffer tube on your AR rifle, and you take the upper off and you put a new upper on it or different barrel that has a pistol-length barrel on it, i.e. 7.5 inches, 10 inches, whatever. And you now have an AR pistol. The difference between the pistol and the rifle configuration is you do not put the buffer tube against your shoulder, because then with ATF rules it becomes a short barrel rifle, i.e. tax stamp. Or the way I teach people to use it is to simply use the cheek rest on it. Just like you do with your rifle, you get your cheek weld. You're putting your cheek weld on the buffer tube, and it's nowhere near your shoulder. And he got to thinking about that, and he got really interested in the fact of having one lower and being able to have either the AR pistol or the standard rifle upper, and again, in many different calibers. So think about it, ladies and gentlemen. If you, AR platform is an excellent hunting weapon. You're going to be limited in range, and only by caliber and distance. If you do have the money and you're so inclined, I really do recommend looking at one rifle that would be strictly for putting food on the table type situation. And that would be a good bolt gun. The Ruger and Remington all have new lines coming out right now, synthetic stock rifles in all the popular calibers, all the way from 223, which would be redundancy, all the way up to your 40 caliber rifles. And look at adding to your armory one particular rifle, or maybe a couple, but in either semi-automatic, I would actually prefer to see you go with a bolt gun. Less maintenance, less chance of problems and everything else, but chambered in a common hunting caliber. The reason I use the word common, 6.5 Creedmoor is an outstanding rifle that is out there. It's very, very popular right now. 6.5 Grendel, 6.8 SPC. These are all calibers that you find in the AR platform and also in bolt guns that are very, very popular, very, very accurate. Problem is, you can't walk into any True Value or Walmart and find ammunition for them. If you don't have a stockpile of ammunition for them, you can be out in the dust. Basically have a very expensive club. So when I say common calibers, I'm talking 243, 308, 30-06, the common hunting calibers of the American West is what you want in a bolt gun, for the simple fact that you can find any of those three bullets in any city that does have a shop or a store that sells ammunition. It's like in the pistol calibers and everything. People love, I love 40 Smith & Wesson, very popular handgun. However, some places it's very hard to find 40 and Smith & Wesson ammunition. You can find 9mm and 45 ACP all day long. So whenever you're looking at adding a new weapon to your armory, ladies and gentlemen, let's look at and focus on what I call the common calibers. In handguns, 38, 357 mag, 44 mag, 44 special, 9mm, 45 ACP, all of those, you can find ammunition in practically any town that has a gun shop or somebody that sells ammunition.
Hold that thought. We got a break. We'll be right back.
You are tuned in to the Republic Broadcasting Network. Visit our website by going to republicbroadcasting.org.
Ladies and gentlemen, J.R. Moore here. We're continuing our energy cleaner promotion, which began August of 2016. In this promotion, you get to buy an energy cleaner, $70 off retail, and a mattress pad, 10% off retail. $200 of the purchase price of the energy cleaner goes to Republic Broadcasting. This is a great way to help get energy cleaners out to people who need them and have some financial issues to deal with. and, of course, a great way to support Republic Broadcasting. Here's what you do. Send in a postcard. My address is John Moore, P.O. Box 201, Davidsville, Missouri. We pick a postcard every 2 weeks. If your postcard is drawn, you get the chance to buy the energy cleaner, $70 off retail, and 10% off the mattress pads. Put your name and your address, your telephone number, and your email address on the postcard, and we wish you the best of luck. Thank you. All right, we are back, ladies and gentlemen. We're back. J.R. Moore here on Monday, the 18th of December. My website is thelibertyman.com. That's thelibertyman.com. Our project, and it is truly our project. I couldn't not possibly do this by myself. Our project of finding images of maps on movies and TV shows showing new coastlines on continents continues to move forward, wrapping up this first exciting year. We'll start the second year here in a couple of weeks. And if you find one, a lot of people have discretionary time, especially between Christmas and New Year's, to watch movies and TV shows they don't normally have. If you find an image of a continent with new coastlines, get that screen capture to me. You get your choice of any of my 5 DVDs as a thank you. A lot of fun. Let's move that forward. Also, of course, energy cleaners. This is my home business. When you place your order, I'm the guy that boxes them up. I take them to a little country post office where you can get all the coffee you want to drink for 75 cents at the Cherryville store there, where the Cherryville post office is, and ship them out to you. Same thing with the mattress pads. I reconfigure them the way they come from the factory, make them compatible to the energy cleaner. I use mine every night. If you have arthritis pain, back pain, joint pain, you need an energy cleaner. Only $285, shipping included to American zip codes. Yes, I do take PayPal, as well as MasterCard and Visa. And, of course, you can send me a check. My address is at my website, thelibertyman.com. My toll-free hour line, 24 hours a day, here it is, 800-592-9543. I say again, 800-592-9543. Visiting with Jimmy Gensling here with Desert Eagle Shooters. That website is deserteagleshooters.com. And this is Firearms Monday. We got a caller on hold here. We got Ron in Fort Worth, Texas. Good morning, Ron.
Good to hear from you and talk to you today. Hey, I've got a little question about something, or I'm not trying to, say something bad about you, but I think you were talking about the short barrel rifles. Okay, when you have a pistol, I'm fixing to start a gun store here in Mineral Wells, Texas, and I've already got with the ATF, and I do gun shows on the weekends, and I do sell a lot of stuff like that. And back in September of this year, or the last September, the ATF did allow you to legally put that shoulder that. Yeah, you can shoulder it, and you can, as long as it's a SIG brace, the blade, or just the plain old buffer tube.
Right.
So
the only problem I didn't bring that up on that is to prevent people from making it a habit of trying to shoot it like that.
Yeah, but I mean, they're not going to get in trouble, and as long as it... Yeah, go ahead, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. You had it right there. You're getting
well,
ready to say
what I was saying is, as long as they're not going to get in trouble at the shooting range, and if they have that letter that comes with the brace or the SIG brace or the blade, as long as you carry that on you at all times, you're fine. And it's not something that a lot of people are always like, well, can I throw it up on my shoulder? Yeah, you can now. Used to, you couldn't. I give that at all the gun shows. I just had a gun show this weekend and sold 2. Guys are like, really? I can do that? I said, yes, sir. As long as you have, and I give them if I put a SIG brace together on something, I would give them the ATF letter, and that way they have it.
Excellent. Excellent.
Yes, sir. It's great to hear from you guys.
Yeah, I had to do that a couple of years ago when I was selling the 80% lowers. I provided a copy of the ATF letter that the 80% lower was not a gun. And, boy, you and I both, we have to deal with a lot of strange questions sometimes, don't we?
Well, I'm learning more and more, sir. You know, like I said, I'm fixing to start a store. I've never been a business before, but I'm starting one in April in Mineral Wells. And I've been working with a lot of my buddies, and I'm learning a lot of things that are really crazy. Like, if I can bring it up real quick, you know, like if you're selling lowers, and you can put as many, you know, you're in Texas. I guess it's everywhere. Once you buy multiple guns that are, you know, the person that's doing the background check has to fill out that form where it's the multiple guns on there. Mm-hmm. You know, like if you buy 2 semi-automatics, well, then you have to fill it out and send it into the ATF. And but if you do, you can do 10 lowers and you don't have to fill that form out. That was crazy. I couldn't believe that because they're calling it not a gun, but then they do call it the gun.
Right.
If it's just a strip lower. Or if it's even if it's all the way put together, except with not having the upper on it.
Exactly. Well, I'll give you a little hint. And if you'll email me, I'll send you a copy of this letter to put in your files from the ATF. But it was determined back in the court case with Aries about 6 years ago. They had the ATF agent on the stand, and, of course, they were trying to make Aries look like the biggest, baddest, meanest people in the world until the prosecutor asked him one question that they didn't really want the answer to. And ATF regulations, the firearms regulations, state that the gun is the portion which houses the firing mechanism, i.e. the trigger mechanism, houses bolt or chambering device, and the barrel. It has to have those 3 components. There's a 4th one mentioned, I can't remember what it is, but those 3 minimum components have to go together to be the gun. So that would mean that a Mauser action is the gun. The 1911 frame is the gun, etc., so on and so forth. The AR platform is the fly in the ointment because the firing mechanism is in the lower. You have the trigger mechanism, the magazine feed, that's the other part, the bullet feeding device. Are all in the lower. The bolt, the firing pin, and the barrel are in the upper, a separate component. Yep. So according to, and this ATF agent made the comment on the stand, according to ATF rules, neither the upper nor the lower of an AR is the gun. It can only be the gun when they're all assembled.
Yeah.
And
yeah, that's what I wasn't understanding. You know, I got with my buddy, and he's like, I said, well, we got to fill out that multiple. The guy bought 5 complete lowers from you, and he goes, no, they're not considering that the gun. And I'm like, okay, well, that's the whole thing. And they always say that's the gun, the lower, even if it's a strip lower. And he's like, no, sir. And so I've learned.
Drop me an email, and I'll send you a copy of that letter.
Okay. Yeah, that and another thing I've learned, and I didn't even know this. You know, a gentleman that comes across the border, and he's working here as a migrant worker and has a card, but he's not here. You know, he's not a full-blown citizen. Can actually buy a gun from you. Did you know that too?
Yes. But
yeah. I didn't.
I'm in New Mexico, and I travel to your gun show in Texas. You cannot legally sell me a handgun.
No, sir. That's the same thing in Oklahoma. They just got done with the big water maker. Yeah. But they have a way. There's some kind of a deal that you actually can sit with somebody from that state, and they can do the paperwork or the background check for you. There's a way of doing something like that the ATF says you can do that, right?
Yes. If in fact the gentleman that teaches me how to build 1911s does this. He has a
it's kind of like doing a transfer, right?
And one in Texas. So if he's in Texas and sells there, it's normal. If he's in New Mexico and someone wants to sell the guy a handgun, James can use his Texas license, do the background check on that one, clear the guy, and then he can buy it in New Mexico.
Yeah, it's almost like doing a transfer, right, sir?
Yes, sir. Exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
So any way that we can help you on that, you do not hesitate to call us or drop me an email. We'll do all we can to help you.
Kind of keep your eye open for it because mine is a catchy email, and it's going to be the name of the store. It's called An Eye for an Eye, Guns and Ammo. So when I drop you when I drop you the email, then you'll know that's me, and my name is Ron.
All right, Ron. You have a marvelous week.
Hey, you have a great day, too, Jimmy. Thank you so much, JR, and you keep up the good work. You're doing great for us, sir.
Okay.
You're out there
Ron,
preaching the work, and I tell everybody about you every day. Listen to JR,
right.
man. He tells us prepper tips and everything. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Ron. Appreciate the call. The call number is 800-313-9443. I think we're making some progress here, Jimmy, don't you?
Oh, yeah, and I love the name of that gun shop.
Yep.
An eye for an eye. I love that. That's definitely a first. But, ladies and gentlemen, that's what this show is all about. John and I will do anything we can to help you. If we've got the answer, we'll give it to you on the air. If we don't, I'll find it. You know, you can drop me an email or I'll write it down, and the next week we'll cover it. But that's the whole purpose of this Firearms Monday. John and I can sit here over a cup of coffee and talk guns weeks on end. And it's the fun part. But what really makes it worthwhile is when we have the callers that call in and have the questions, and we can maybe not always help, but we can at least point them in the right direction. And that's what I enjoy about it most.
Me too. Yep. Well, let's continue here, Jimmy.
Okay. Another thing I wanted to bring up today is kind of a side thought on this. Ladies and gentlemen, on your rifles, equip them with a sling. A lot of people think that a sling is intended for carrying the rifle. Believe it or not, the sling is an aid in helping you to shoot better. And
unless it's on an AR.
Well, if the AR's got a free-floating handguard, we're okay. But on the stock A1 and A2s that do not have the free-floating handguard, no, it is not an advisable technique. As John has said before, it puts torque on the barrel and it changes everything. So, but no, a good quality sling, and right now, probably there are so many out there right now, John. It's unbelievable. Everything from the mill standard, my old favorite, leather slings, all the way up to I've seen some ungodly prices on slings, ladies and gentlemen. And believe it or not, there's not much more than a dime's bit of difference in any of them. Size, color, materials are about the only things that'll change. And the best, in my opinion, still to this day, is the canvas M14 sling. That you'll see it at gun shows occasionally, Army surplus a lot of times. It's 1 1/4 inch wide, double-wrapped canvas web, and green, and it has got a quick-release system on it for adjustments. And, ladies and gentlemen, that has got to be the sturdiest sling I've ever used in my life, and I've got it on over half of my rifles, because with the nylon, over time it will stretch. We all know that if you get nylon too close to a campfire or an open flame, it will melt. The canvas doesn't have that. Yeah, it will eventually catch fire, but not nearly as quickly. You can actually rest it against a light bulb and it won't melt. Don't try that with your nylon sling. But
no.
It's a tool, ladies and gentlemen. And if you'll do a Google on it, well, in fact, if you can email me and you can read PDFs, I've got an excellent little handout on using the sling. And it shows all the different patterns and everything of using the sling, standing, sitting, kneeling, prone, all different aspects of using the sling and how to properly adjust it. And that email is jimi@hdc-nm.com. And I'll get back with you, and I'll get you a copy of that little book. It's just so simple. It's about a 10-minute read. And once you understand the basics of it, it makes everything about using the sling so simple. And you will be amazed. When we do apple seed, the very first red coat that we do, we tell them, shoot it any way you want. Just shoot it like you normally shoot. If they use a sling, fine. If they don't use a sling, fine. If they want to do it sitting, okay, prone, we don't care. We tell them, shoot this one the way you normally shoot. And then after that, we go through and we teach them the basic steady hole factors, and we teach them how to properly use the sling, how to adjust the sling, everything. And then as we start going through the rest of the apple seed, we're fine-tuning those steady hole factors and the use of that sling and the 6 steps to firing the shot. By the end of the first day, it is amazing because we'll shoot another red coat at the end of the day. And it's amazing in that one day to see the improvement. Then on the second day, we start off with a refresher. We go through all the things that we covered the first day rather quickly, and we get on the line, and we'll do a couple of squares to start off with just to make sure everything is fine and functioning properly, and then start on the AQTs again. And the AQT is the Army Qualification Test. It has 4 stations. They're all timed. The first one is standing. You've got 10 shots in 2 minutes. The second one is a transition from standing to sitting, which is 55 seconds for 10 rounds, 2 magazines. And then the third stage is transition from standing to prone. You have 65 seconds, and you have a mag change in there. And then the last one is start in prone, stay in prone, 5-minute time limit, 10 rounds at the 400-yard target silhouette. It is amazing, John, to sit there and watch how people progress through the day. And
it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun to watch that. And we got our last break here. Call number is 800-313-9443. We'll be right back. All right, we are back. We're back. Jared Moore here on Monday, the 18th of December. Visiting with Jimmy Gensling. His website is deserteagleshooters.com. That's deserteagleshooters.com. Got about 3 or 4 minutes left here, Jimmy.
All right, John. I was thinking during the break there and everything, we all appreciate and love our doTERRA oils, our essential oils. doTERRA takes a large accumulation of product and reduces it down to the absolute essence, the essential oil, and that is the productive part of everything. If you were to take apple seed, what they teach in 2 days, take that whole pile of stuff and reduce it down to its essence. The essence of the apple seed is two subjects, steady hole factors and the 6 steps to firing the shot. And anyone can work on those. The difficulty that all Appleseed instructors have, and they had to overcome it in themselves before we could ever teach it, and that was overcoming the bad habits we had developed over time. And ladies and gentlemen, if you take the time and the dedication to work on the steady hole factors and learn the 6 steps to firing the shot, you'll improve your marksmanship. And I'm going to surprise you with something. Both of those things transfer over to pistol shooting as well. If you apply the same concepts, even all the way down to natural point of aim, everything transfers to pistol. Not for the long-range shooting part of it, but definitely for the accuracy part. So this coming year and everything, go to appleseedinfo.org, look up your area, look at the Appleseed coming up in the future for this year. Make your New Year's resolution to find an Appleseed and go to it with your family. And I'm talking about the whole family. I don't care if the youngest boy is 8 years old. The youngest rifleman that we ever made with our cadre was 8. And the young man did it all on his own, and he did very, very well. So that's what I'll leave you with, because next Monday is going to be Christmas. I doubt I'll be here.
No.
And then the one after that is New Year's. I don't know what the call is on that yet. But, ladies and gentlemen, for the new year, look up an Appleseed, appleseedinfo.org. Check out your area and set up plans to go to one, because you'll never regret it, and you'll have 2 days of absolute marvelous fun, learn a lot about history, and learn how to shoot a lot better. So until then, looks like we're going to have a little bit of a break here. JIMI@hdc-nm.com or 575-513-2842. You got a question, comment, you need some assistance on something, use either one of those, ladies and gentlemen.
Jimmy, thank you. Enjoy the holiday, and we'll look forward to having you back as soon as we... Yeah, it may be next year. It will be. Okay, thank you.
It will be either way.
It will be. You're right. It will be. Okay, that's it for the day. My goodness, what a great show we had today. Tomorrow we'll have Leon Green with us, I hope, as usual. Wednesday, Professor Mechanic. In the meantime, get your medical supplies, your energy cleaner, your essential oils now while you can, your firearms ammunition. Never, ever give up your guns. Please do have a fun, safe, productive day. And God bless America.